Hello, Dwight Norris here of FishingNetwork.com, and today we're going to talk about today's fishing failure. Now, you may be thinking that something really bad happened, or oh, the boss confronted me. Nope, nope, nothing like that. I doubt that'll ever happen. What happened was something was stopping me from fishing. Not in the regular sense. I could fish, I did continue fishing, but there was a sign that said basically, you probably shouldn't fish here right now. And that sign had to do with cyanobacteria, more specifically, cyanobacteria blooms. Now, you may have seen these blue-green algae sheets, or it's kind of like a painted water floating like a film on the top of the water, and thought, that looks weird. But in places or metropolis places where there's a lot of people, the local government actually considers it an issue, and they sort of what's the word I want to use? They don't really want you touching the water and suing them or something because they didn't warn you about a problem that is prominent in many places. Cyanobacteria isn't anything new. It's been around for hundreds of millions of years. It's been seen in fossils over 350 million years ago, and in its naturally occurring form, it actually helps the environment. But when it gets in like too much of a dense area, or it becomes a bloom when it's all in one spot, it's not that good because it releases cyanotoxins and other kind of toxins as well. It's an interesting blue-green algae per se, but basically, for my concerns, I couldn't really fish, and I was a little concerned about me touching the water and touching my lure that was in the water, and et cetera, et cetera. And thankfully, I had already eaten that, and I would have been touching the bait and touching the water, then putting water on my sandwich or whatever else I'm eating, and then putting it in my mouth directly and being like, that probably wasn't the greatest thing. But honestly, I probably wouldn't even have any problem with that low amount. And I didn't see any like immediately around me, but in certain areas of the Charles River, that was happening. This generally happens because of stagnant water, or the water temperature goes up. And in the Esplanade area, where it's the cutoff from the river, the water slows down a lot. There's a lot of lily pads, there's bridges, there's these raised levels where the water goes down to like a couple inches and back down to a couple of feet, and that really slows the water down. So if the heat rises, boom, you could have a bloom if there's enough of the cyanobacteria there, and you have a problem. There's toxins being released, there's kids running around everywhere, there's animals. Basically, the sign said, I'll show that here. But as you can see, it talked about the water body is unsafe for people and pets. Do not swim, do not swallow the water, keep animals away, and rinse off after contact with water. And that seems pretty cut and dry. Just don't come in contact with the water in any shape or form. Now, I did look around for a second, and I was like, I wonder if there's any boats around here, like the canoes, the kayaks, the little sailing school where they give you that little sailing boat you can go in, and half the people just fall right over because they're still learning, and they're in the water, probably ingesting it, probably touching it, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't see those there. And it was an extremely windy day, so the sailing club probably wasn't going to take out its new or not veteran sailors to handle that in their boats, because they probably would have broke. So tomorrow I want to actually try to look again to see just how the local community rowing and boating centers take this bloom, and whether it's bad enough for me to fish or not. At this current moment, if I don't see a bloom around me, I'm going to fish because that's what I want to do, and I don't see any issues with it. But there's precautions that you can do if you run into a situation like this and you see it somewhere where the government just really doesn't care, like a small pond that they may visit like every 3 to 6 months, and they have no idea the bloom, and it came and gone by the time that happened. And I've seen that before many times. They don't really care. Um, but if you see it, you can and should take precautions about how you come in contact with the water. My first suggestion is if you don't have to fish there, fish somewhere else. You know, fish are in a lot of bodies of water, and if you can get to another one easily, pick the other one and just avoid the situation. Now, if you know there's some super huge bass under that film of algae, then take your crack at it. And if you hook one and it's splashing all around, make sure you don't get it in your face or your eyeballs or any other open areas that where you can reach the inside of your body in some shape or form. And if you have to grab the fish, wear some nice gloves. Scoop your hand in there and pull it out. Waterproof, no problems. But this is if you really you're concerned about it. I truly believe it's not that dangerous unless you're like dipping your hand in the algae and swimming around in it. It's like sucking down huge amounts of film, or you're just breathing it in because you're if you fall asleep next to the beach where it's just floating there for like half a day. But that's just my opinion. It's not law or anything, and you should probably not take my suggestion on that. This is my viewpoint. You can have your own, and you should probably listen to whatever your local government regulations are, as they have clearly stated here in Boston. So, if you see anything like this, or maybe you've seen a different situation that you should avoid, I'm not sure. There are red algae plumes. I'm not sure what kind of bacteria that is, but it's a similar thing. And I've kind of sort of swim in it, and those weren't actually outlawed or anything where I was. Maybe it should have been, but the local government didn't worry about the red ones. But I'm not sure. Maybe they knew exactly what it was and it was not harmful, and the green-blue is. So that's my day, and I didn't catch any fish because I was more worried about how I could cast in the wind and not have it hit me back in the face, and also about this mysterious CyanoBacteria, which I knew nothing about, but I did know about green-blue algae, which is what it is. I was like, oh, it's just green-blue algae? Come on, guys. You're really just slowing me down, making me think about all this stuff. But I'm glad they noticed it. I'm glad that they're taking action, and you should too. So, if you don't have any of these problems, go fishing. Stop messing around. Get out there. Go to my website if you have time. Go download the 10 steps process to go fishing at work, and figure this whole thing out and how you can do it on a reliable, consistent basis. And subscribe to the email, and I'll be writing even more valuable content, very detailed, and possibly answering your questions if you send them to me right there in the email. Like, I'll be saying oh, this email subscriber sent this question and I thought it was great, so I'm going to write a whole article on it, or a whole video just like this about it, directly to you and anybody else who wants to listen. So check me out and get fishing.